Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Dazed and helpless after his defeat by Henry Miller, the Atom Man, Superman, in his guise of Clark Kent, was taken to Florida by Perry White, who believed Kent was suffering from a nervous breakdown. Meanwhile, discovering that the kryptonite in his blood, which enabled him to generate atomic power, had been exhausted in his mighty battle with Superman, Miller contacted a strange individual known only as Sidney, who secured for him the Scarlet Widow's last remaining piece of kryptonite. In the attic laboratory of Joseph Bush, a German chemist, the deadly element was dissolved. And as we continue now, Miller lies on a couch, breathing heavily, his eyes closed. A long rubber tube extends from a clamp on his bare arm to a glass cylinder suspended above, in which a brilliant green liquid is slowly dissipating. Sidney sits wedged into a chair as Bush nervously tests Miller's pulse. Listen.
Well, Bush, how's it look?
His pulse is very rapid. Over 100.
I should think it would be. That kryptonite's powerful stuff.
I would feel better if we had a doctor here.
They didn't have a doctor in the cave in Germany when Teufel injected the stuff into Miller the first time. Fewer people involved, the better. It's always been my motto.
But what if something goes wrong? We would not know what to do.
Time enough to call a doctor then. What's that confounded noise?
It's a ventilator fan.
Well, turn it off.
It is not yet safe to do so. The fumes of the acids we used are very dangerous. They must be cleared from the room.
Oh, well, sit down and relax. You make me nervous.
How can I relax? Nothing like this has ever been dreamed of before. Imagine a human being able to generate atomic power within his own body.
Well, Miller can, Bush, he can. I had a first-hand report on his demonstration in the Black Forest. He got rid of Superman, you know.
I cannot believe that is true.
I wouldn't go through with this if I didn't believe Superman was dead.
Superman destroyed. It is amazing. Never did I believe such a thing was possible.
Neither did I. That's what convinced me to give the Scarlet Widow a cool $1,000,000 for a last piece of kryptonite. Why, I expect
what
to
is
make...
this?
What's the matter?
His pulse has become very faint. While we were talking, I can hardly feel it at all.
You can't?
None. And see how pale he has become. Like wax. He hardly breathes. I do not like this.
Now, don't lose your head.
I told you we should have a doctor. I will call
Not
one.
yet, not yet. Disconnect the transfusion tube. The stuff's all out of the jar.
What I...
Do as I say and disconnect the tube.
Yeah, all right.
Wait. Miller told us he might go into a coma. He said it was like that in the cave in Germany.
But this is not a coma. This man is almost dead. He must have forgotten some important detail about the transfusion, as they did with the dissolving formula.
He can't die. I paid the Scarlet Widow $1 million.
Please, let me call a doctor.
If Miller's dead, a doctor can't help him. And if he's alive, a doctor might spoil everything. We'll wait a while.
But
I said we'll wait a while. Sit down.
What's that?
The car stopped in front of the house.
Himmel.
Well, look through the window and see who it is.
Yeah. It is the police.
Are you sure?
Yeah, a police car and 2 officers. See, already at the front door. What do we do? They must have traced Miller here.
Well, they couldn't have. His hair is dyed and he wore an American Army officer's overcoat. My man's too smart to let anyone trail the car. Let me think.
What will we do?
Will you stop repeating that stupid question? Let me think. Your wife's downstairs, isn't she?
No, she is out.
All right. They won't see anybody through the windows. They may leave and plan to come back later. We can get away for them.
They are not leaving.
Himmel. Come on. Give me a hand with Miller.
What are you going to do?
Put him on the floor behind the couch. Come on. Take his leg. Come on, hurry.
It will not work. They will search now.
It's our only chance. I've talked myself out of tough spots before. Maybe I can do it again. Easy now. Easy. There.
They are still ringing. We are trapped.
No. Get this, Bush. Let them in. And tell them you were working on an experiment and didn't hear them.
What kind of experiment?
Never mind. Let me do the talking. Now, pull yourself together and let them in.
That is madness. We are trapped, I tell you.
Hurry now. Do as I say. And for heaven's sake, stop trembling.
How can I? I'm afraid. Come on, Norman, please.
I'll move the couch. Closer to the wall. There. Better drop something over him, in case they come up here and look behind the couch. Oh, that looks suspicious. Well, now, let's see. Miller's coat. Where'll I put it? No, closet here. I'll have to fold it and sit on it. First, I'll shut off that infernal ventilator. Now then, there. The door's closed. running upstairs. I hope it's...
Sidney, it's all right. They're gone.
Not allowed, you fool.
Never was I so scared.
What do they want?
A car parked too close to the fire hydrant in front of the vacant lot next door. They're looking for the owner.
Ah, my goodness, that was the first door. Come on. Help me move this couch away and get Miller back on it.
He is dead. Better we leave him there until Jito can take him away at night. What is that?
Miller, does that sound like he's dead? Come on.
Can it really be that he is alive?
What happened? Where am I?
Where he's alive. There. Are you all right, Miller?
Yeah. What happened?
It's a miracle.
The solution of kryptonite was injected into you. Don't you remember?
The kryptonite. Yes, of course. My atomic power, I have it again. I feel strong as if I could lift mountains. Just the way I felt the last time.
Good, good. It'll be dark in an hour, and you can test your atomic power then. And if it works...
It'll work. I can tell. I can feel it. In an hour, I'll destroy Metropolis. I'll destroy every stick and stone of it. I'm the Atom Man again.
Yes, indeed, you are, my Atom Man.
A maniacal gleam in his eyes, Henry Miller lifts his hand, gloating at the thought of the terrible atomic power that will soon pour through them. It's an hour since Henry Miller awoke with a fresh solution of kryptonite in his veins. Dusk is drifting down over Metropolis. The city's millions, unaware of the terrible threat hanging over their heads, are hurrying homeward. In Joseph Bush's little attic laboratory, Sidney sits reading the evening edition of the Daily Planet, which Bush's wife has just brought him, while Miller paces the floor impatiently. Below, at the front door, Bush keeps watch.
It's dark now, Sidney. What are we waiting for?
It's not dark enough yet. Be patient.
It'll be pitch dark by the time we get to the tower.
I want it to be pitch dark when we leave here. But yes, and patience is a valuable trait. Try to cultivate it. What's this?
What?
Just a good grief, Kennedy.
What is it? Can what be?
Superman. Is it possible he's alive?
Superman alive? That's impossible. Why,
He must be. According to this newspaper story, the unidentified man who we know as Superman disappeared from the Linwood Hospital last night.
But he couldn't have. The doctor said he was dying.
The doctors didn't know who their patient was. But we know. Oh, this is terrible. It ruins all our plans.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
Gosh, you fool. You think Superman's going to let you destroy Metropolis or any other place without defending it? He'll be there at the first explosion.
No, he won't. He'll be afraid to come near me.
Superman afraid? Are you out of your mind?
No, he knows I'll finish him this time.
You couldn't finish him the last time after exhausting all your atomic energy. And I got the last piece of kryptonite from the widow. There's no more. You exhaust that, or Superman, we're through. Finish.
No, he can't stand in my way again. He can't. There must be a way.
There's no way we're late. All my great dreams and all my $1 million, they're gone.
There must be a way. With my great atomic power that... Yes, of course. I forgot. There is a way. Teufel figured it out.
What do you mean?
Teufel knew how Superman could be finished. He wanted me to do it, but I wouldn't listen to him. I was sure that Superman was dead. But now I will do it, and I can't fail.
Well, what are you talking about? Tell me.
All right. Listen, Sidney. Superman has another identity. I know what it is, but he doesn't know that I do. I won't have to exhaust myself.
Triumphantly, the Atom Man confides his plan for the destruction of Superman to the intent Sidney. The plan developed by the late and brilliant and half-mad Teufel, who had thought of everything. And as Sidney listens, his little pig eyes sparkle like cold blue diamonds in his sinister moonlight face.
You've hit it, Miller. You've hit the perfect plan. Superman can't escape now. He's doomed.
What was Teufel's plan, which the Atom Man and Sidney now propose to put into operation? Do you remember what Teufel said just before he died? As we continue now, in the little attic laboratory of a German chemist, Miller is telling Sidney how Superman can be destroyed. Listen.
In spite of Superman's great powers, he's still a mortal, a human being. The doctors and scientists that he permitted to examine him have said so.
I know that. Get to the point, Miller. What are you driving at?
It's like this, Sidney. Human beings have to eat and drink or they die. So all we have to do is to put Superman into a coma and keep him that way until he starves to death.
That's all we have to do, eh? Just put Superman in a coma. Are you out of your mind?
It's easy. Superman can't stand the atomic power of the kryptonite in my blood. I'll expose him to it again.
How can you without...
It's easy, I tell you. I'll let him know that I'm going to destroy Metropolis. He'll show up to try to stop me, And that'll be the end of it.
It'll also be the end of your atomic power, and then we're off.
No, it won't.
Of course it will. Oh, you idiot. Wasn't it exhausted after your last fight with Superman?
Yes, but I exhausted it the last time because I kept trying to finish Superman after he was unconscious. This time I won't do that. As soon as he loses consciousness, I'll stop.
It might take too much power to knock him out.
I don't think so. The last time...
No, we can't take any chances. Superman's clever as well as powerful. He knows what you can do now, and he'll be more careful. He'll make you fight longer.
I can handle.
You're a fool. Can't you get it through your head that this is the last of the kryptonite? You've got to conserve every ounce. Must be some other way. I've got to find it.
Well, Sidney, I think...
Wait a minute. You said that you and Teufel were sure that Superman's Clark Kent, the Daily Planet reporter.
Well, practically sure. Teufel treated my vest with lead to keep the emanations of the kryptonite in my blood from escaping. And when I came near Kent while I was wearing it, nothing happened. But when I approached him without it, he became dazed and he almost collapsed, just as Superman did.
That's not conclusive proof. Kent might have been ill that day. But was there anything else?
Yes. I got Superman to the beach by phoning Kent and telling him that Jim Olsen was in great danger. Superman arrived within half a minute, and the beach is 50 miles from Metropolis.
Oh, that's better. Much better. So Clark Kent's Superman. Now we get in someplace.
Oh, what's on your mind?
I've got an idea. Yeah. Tell me. Kent has no idea that you suspect his double identity, has he?
No, of course not.
Good, very good. One other thing. You say Superman becomes affected by the kryptonite in your blood, even when you're not converting it into atomic energy.
Yes. When I met him at the Daily Planet that night, he almost passed out.
Fine. Excellent. Miller, I believe I know how it can be done. Yes, I'm quite sure I do.
Why?
Exposing Superman to your power, of course, and keeping him under it until he's done for without you having to exhaust the power.
How?
Oh, this is good.
Now, look, Sidney, if you're figuring on my walking up to him or sitting next to him in a restaurant or something, it won't work. He knows it.
I'm quite aware of that.
And a disguise won't work either. His X-ray vision will see right through that.
I know that, too. In fact, I know much more about Superman than you do. I've made a study of him for years, trying to find a way to get rid of him, and now I found the way.
Which way? Tell me.
I'll tell you in the car.
Where are we going?
To make the necessary arrangements for eliminating Superman. Careful on those stairs, my boy, careful. The carpet seems a bit loose. Can't afford to have anything happen to you now, you know. There are millions at stake, millions. And oh, how I love money.
His fat body shaking with greedy laughter, Sidney leads the Atom Man from the attic laboratory. Meanwhile, having arrived at a small hotel on the Florida coast with Perry White, Superman in his guise of Clark Kent immediately retired to his room, where he fell into a deep, dreamless sleep. Late the following morning, when he joined his editor on the sunny breakfast terrace overlooking the sparkling blue ocean, his step was firm, his eyes clear, and the heavy numbness which had clouded his mind since his encounter with the Atom Man was gone.
Good morning, Chief.
Well, good morning, Kent. Say, you look fine, like your old self. How do you feel?
Oh, in the pink, as Jimmy would say.
I never saw anyone make such a speedy recovery. Why, you're a new man.
Yes, but I'm still worried.
Now, none of that. No worries. No thinking about the office or anything else for 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Are you kidding?
I certainly am not. I arranged for both of us to be gone for 2 full weeks.
Oh, you did?
We're just going to fish, swim, lie in the sun, eat, and sleep. Now, how's that sound to you, huh?
Sounds fine, but did you arrange it with the Atom Man, too?
Huh? With the what?
Henry Miller, the Atom Man.
Henry Miller, Now, look here, Ken. Don't go off on that subject again. That's what made you sick.
It made me sick, all right, but not in the way you think.
What do you mean? There's no such thing as an Atom Man. Miller's a dirty Nazi, all right, but don't...
No, Chief, please.
Well, now, look, Ken. In the first place, you're not well enough to go back.
Physically, I never felt better in my life.
Physically? But how about mentally?
What do you mean?
You're a sick man, Kent. You created some kind of a fantastic illusion in your mind about an Atom Man.
I only wish he were an illusion. Unfortunately, though, he's real. And unless we stop him, most of us will be dead in a month.
All the ridiculous nonsense. Now, look here, Kent. Listen to reason. You told me yourself that Dr. Millison, one of the greatest scientists we have, told you that it was practically impossible to create an Atom Man. And that it... Oh, say, that reminds me.
What?
Millison was trying to get hold of you.
He was? When? Where? Why didn't you tell me?
Well, how could I? First you weren't around, and then you were sick. He was phoning the office practically every hour. Here, where are you going? You haven't had your breakfast.
I got to call Millicent. Maybe he was able
to what? Now sit down. Here comes your breakfast. You call Millison later.
I can't wait. This may make all the difference. So long, Chief. Kent, will you come back here? Kent, come back, I say.
It's well, a Chief's vacation. He arranged it for my benefit, but if those calls from Millicent mean what I think they do... Let's see, where can I... Oh, that patch of bushes behind the terrace ought to do for a dressing room. There we are. Now, off with these clothes. Good thing I had another
Superman outfit. The Atom Man certainly ruined my other one. Next time we meet, maybe it'll be different. Maybe. If only Millicent has been able to... Ah, there we are, all set. Now, back to Metropolis. Up and away!
Leaping high into the sunlit clouds, Superman veers and rockets away to the north, red capes streaming in the wind. Will he find what he hopes at Dr. Millicent's laboratory? Once more in possession of his great powers, Superman has arrived at Dr. John Millicent's laboratory on the campus of Metropolis University. Eagerly now, he holds in his hand what is, at first glance, only a modern plastic trousers belt. But woven under the smooth, glossy surface is a network of fine, hardly discernible wire filaments, which cross and crisscross through the entire belt.
You say this belt will detect the presence of kryptonite, Dr. Millicent, and warn me of it?
If there's any kryptonite within 100 yards, the belt will warn you.
How?
There's an alarm secreted in the buckle.
Oh, yes, I see it.
It'll send out a high, wavering whine. Not very loud, but you'll hear it.
You say it'll detect the presence of kryptonite within a radius of 100 yards.
Well, I say that conservatively. It may detect it at a greater distance, but 100 yards is certain.
Good.
It's constructed along a principle of radar, which was perfected during the war.
Look, Doctor, this is terribly important. Will it detect kryptonite in liquid form? In a man's body?
In a man? Oh, you still got Teufel's Atom Man on your mind. I'd forget that if I were you.
Well, I can't. Because, you see, Teufel did create an Atom Man.
Oh, come now, Superman.
I tell you he did, Doctor. I battled with him, and it's only a miracle that I'm still alive.
Good heavens. You really mean...
Yes, I do. But don't mention it to anyone. No sense alarming people until it's absolutely necessary.
No, of course not. But why, I can't believe it.
It's true. Only too true. And unless I stop him, he'll destroy every vestige of civilization as we know it. Now tell me, Doctor, this is important. Will the detector warn me of the presence of the Atom Man? Will it?
Well...
Tensely, Superman waits for Dr. Millicent's answer. The answer which this time will truly mean life or death to him. Because at this very moment, Sidney is on his way to the Daily Planet to set a deadly trap for Clark Kent, whom he suspects is Superman. Meanwhile, again in possession of his great powers, Superman hurried to the laboratory of Dr. John Millicent, a famous scientist, in response to an urgent summons. Millicent gave him what appeared to be an ordinary plastic belt, but which was actually an extremely sensitive detector, equipped to warn Superman of the presence of kryptonite, the deadly radioactive element which enables Miller to generate atomic power. Then Superman asked a question, the answer to which may mean the difference of life and death to him. Listen.
Tell me, Dr. Millicent, will this detector belt warn me of the Atom Man?
Well, I think so.
You do?
Yes, the detector's extremely sensitive. Makes use of a new principle of radar which we perfected just before the war ended. Of course, it won't register at nearly as great a distance as when the element is in its solid form.
No, I can understand that. At what distance from the Atom Man will it register, would you say?
Well, for a rough guess, I'd say about 10 yards.
10 yards? That's only 30 feet.
Yes. It might register at a greater distance, but I wouldn't count on it.
30 feet, that's not much. But it might just give me time enough to take him by surprise and tear that box off his throat. That's my only chance to defeat him.
What box?
Well, he wears a small square metal box over his jugular vein. It has a tiny electronic tube in it and a switch. That box controls his power. I found out that much.
Sounds like an electronic converter, designed to flash an impulse to the kryptonite atoms in his blood, starting on nuclear fission. No. It's impossible. He'd explode to bits.
Everything he pointed his metal gloves at exploded except me. And he remained very much alive.
Impossible. Wait. Did you say he wore metal gloves?
Yes, they were meshed metal. Jagged green sparks poured out of the fingers like miniature lightning bolts.
Amazing. What was the metal, do you know?
I'm afraid I was too busy trying to stay alive to find out. It was gray-white, I can tell you that, with a sort of bluish cast.
Those gloves are the secret, and the converter, of course. I'd certainly like to see them.
After my next encounter with the Atom Man, if I'm still alive, I'll bring them to you, Doctor.
What makes you think you'll encounter him again?
I'm sure I will. He said he intended to destroy me first and then enslave the rest of the world. Well, he knows now that he didn't destroy me. Chances are he's looking for me right now.
How can he find you? Nobody knows where you go or even who you are.
That's my ace card, my only salvation. Well, I'll be going now, Doctor. I can't tell you how grateful I am.
Forget it. I did very little. I only wish I could do more.
You did a great deal. It may make all the difference. No, don't bother to show me to the door. I'll use your skylight again if you don't mind.
Of course not.
So long. And thanks again.
Goodbye. Best of luck.
Up, and away!
Leaping through the open skylight, Superman leaves Dr. Millicent's laboratory and streaks away. A short time later, once more in the guise and garb of Clark Kent, he enters the Daily Planet city room and approaches Jimmy Olsen's desk.
What? Mr. Kent, what?
Well,
How?
I'm so startled, Jim.
But you're in Florida. You were awful sick and... Are you all right now?
Fine, thanks.
Oh, gee, that's swell.
Where's Lois?
Well, she's out on a story. Where's Mr. White?
This is a silly conversation. He's in Florida. Oh, and that reminds me, I'll have to send him a wire. He won't know what happened to me.
Oh, well, I guess you're all right again. When you start getting mysterious, it means you're in the groove.
Let's hope I am. Jim, have there been any reports on our late friend and colleague, Henry Miller?
No, not a one. He just disappeared. Listen, Mr. Kent, did you really mean it yesterday when you said he was the Atom Man?
Oh, did I say that?
Well, sure you did. Don't you remember? Oh, I guess you didn't know what you were saying, huh?
Well, one guess is as good as another. I got some things to attend to. I'll see you later, Jim.
Oh, now look, Mr. Kent, don't start clamming up on me again.
What?
Well, you know something. I can tell by the way you act. Oh, here, I'll hang your overcoat up.
Thanks. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like a little privacy. I got a call or two to make. But we can have lunch together if you like.
Okay. Hey, where'd you get that snazzy new belt?
Oh, you like it?
Yeah, it's keen. One of those fancy plastic jobs, huh?
I guess you could say that. Jim, send Beanie in, will you? I want to send a wire to the chief right away. He'll be having fits.
Okay. What time do you want to go to lunch?
Oh, 12:30, 1, whenever it suits you.
Well, the earlier the better. You know me.
I certainly do. 12:30 then.
Check.
Right. Now, let's see, a telegram. Sorry, had to rush away. Very urgent matter.
Hey, Mr. Kent.
Just a minute, Beanie. I'm finishing a telegram. I'd like you to send it out right away, please.
Okay, there's a fat geezer here wants to see you.
A what? Here you are.
A fat geezer.
Oh?
And very high claws. He's wearing yellow gloves and spats and carrying a cane.
Oh, what's his name?
Sidney.
Sidney what?
That's all he told me. He says he's got something very important to see you about.
All right, send him in. And make sure that telegram goes at once, Beanie.
Consider it done, Mr. Kent. Okay, Mr. Sidney, you can come in.
His mind preoccupied with thoughts of the Atom Man, Clark Kent looks up indifferently as the fat Sidney, his tiny babyish mouth smiling benevolently in his moonlight face, waddles into the office. Kent is about to receive the shock of his life. Sidney, the shrewd master spy who now controls the Atom Man, has just entered Clark Kent's office at the Daily Planet. Placing his Homburg hat, yellow gloves, and cane on a corner of the desk, he wedges his fat body into a chair and leans forward confidentially.
I'm a retired businessman, Mr. Kent, and for several years I've devoted myself to a hobby. I think you'd be interested in it, and I need your cooperation.
On what?
Why, my hobby, which I have reason to believe is the same as yours.
I'm afraid I don't understand. What hobby?
Why, Superman, of course.
Superman?
Yes. Why do you look so startled, Mr. Kent?
Startled? I'm not startled.
Oh, forgive me. I thought you were.
What makes you think Superman is my hobby?
Perhaps I used the wrong word. Perhaps I should say he is my hobby and your work.
My work? What do you mean by that?
Oh, perhaps nothing. Perhaps a great deal. But let me tell you the real purpose of my visit.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yes, well, you see, I'm considering publishing a report of my studies on Superman, in which I would reveal to the world his true identity.
His true identity?
Of course, you know he has a double identity.
He has?
Come now, Mr. Kent, you know who he really is.
I do?
Certainly you do. That's why, before I publish my findings and expose his identity...
No, you can't do that. You can't.
Why not?
Because, well, you may be mistaken.
I'm quite sure I'm not mistaken.
Well, you may be. You must be. And if you published a false report, you'd cause a great deal of trouble.
Yes, I would, wouldn't I? I wouldn't want to do that. That's why I want your help.
My help?
How can I help you?
As an expert on Superman, Mr. Kent, I'd like you to look over my documents and photographs and all the other material that I have on the subject.
I see. Well, this sounds very interesting, Mr. Sidney. I'd like to see your documents and other data.
Yes, I was sure you would. Shall we go now? I have a little place in the country. It's only about an hour's drive.
Oh, no, I'm afraid I can't leave just yet, but I have a car, and well, perhaps this evening.
Oh, whatever you say. My place is called Green Meadows. It's on a side road 3.5 miles west of Glenville on Highway 33. You'll see a rustic sign saying Green Meadows and a dirt road through the trees.
I'll find it, all right.
Good. I'll be expecting you then. Goodbye, Mr. Kent. Until tonight.
Yes, till tonight.
Deeply worried, Clark Kent stares at the door through which Sidney waddled from the office and mutters to himself,
Does he really know who I am? Or is he only bluffing? If he does know, what's his game? Is it blackmail? I've got to find out how much he knows and keep him from publishing it. If the Atom Man knew Superman was Clark Kent, well, that'd be the end. For me.
Yes, Clark. And unfortunately, the Atom Man does know you're Superman. And so does Sidney. Are you going to walk into their trap? Think fast and act fast. Faster than even you have ever thought before. Because once again, your life is at stake.
Calling on Kent at the Daily Planet, Sidney stated that he had made a careful study of Superman as a hobby and had discovered his double identity. But before publishing his report, he wished Kent to examine his documents. Fearful that Sidney might really know the truth and that the Atom Man might in turn discover it, Kent agreed to come to Sidney's country house that night. As we continue now, the fat spy has just left, and Kent, throwing open his office door, calls to Jimmy Olsen. Listen.
Jim! Oh, Jim!
Yeah?
Come here, please. Hurry.
What's up, Mr. Kent?
Step on it before he gets away.
Well, before who gets away?
That fat man, Sidney.
I don't see any fat...
Come in and close the door. Now listen closely, Jim, and don't interrupt. He's getting into the elevator.
Well, who is?
Sidney. Now...
Oh, who's Sidney?
I said don't interrupt. I want you to call Inspector Henderson. Don't touch that desk.
Oh, gosh, what?
There are fingerprints on it.
Whose fingerprints?
Sidney's. Now, will you please be quiet and listen?
Okay,
Call
but
Henderson and ask him as a personal favor to me to get a fingerprint man up here at once. I want the prints taken off this corner of the desk and identified if possible. Have you got that?
Oh, sure, but what's this all about?
No time to tell you now, Jim. Ask Henderson if he knows anything about a man named Sidney, a retired businessman who lives at Green Meadows. That's a few miles north of Glenville on Highway 33. Have you got that?
Sidney, retired businessman, Green Meadows. Check.
Good. Then call Candy Myers and tell him I want all the dope he can get on Mr. Sidney at once. Now, today. I'll either be back later for the information or I'll call you. Now get going.
Okay, but where are you going?
I'll explain everything later, Jim. Get on the phone and call Henderson first and then Candy Myers. Hurry. Now, out of these clothes. There's no doubt about it. Sidney was implying that I'm Superman. Got to find out more about him. Uh-oh, he's getting into that big black car at the curb. Well, I'll just follow him as Superman. There we are, all set. The window's open, I'll go out that way. Up and away! Oh, where is he? Oh, there's his car. Up higher. Up! He's heading west, toward River Road. Away!
Leaping higher into the bright, cloudless sky like some great red and blue bird, Superman streaks above the Metropolis traffic, which moves like a procession of tiny ants far below. His keen eyes never leave the big black car in which Sidney drives, and he follows it through the outskirts of the city, then into the country on a broad, rolling highway. A little over an hour later, when the car turns off the highway into a narrow dirt road through the trees, Superman is still high above, watching it stop before a low, rambling house of stone and timbers into which Sidney enters. Dropping a little lower, the man of steel hovers, his eyes searching, probing.
Just one other person in the house, a manservant, Oriental of some sort. Nothing suspicious so far. Wait a minute. That closet in his room. I can't see into that. Oh, it's made of mirrored doors, opening into the room and bathroom. I can't see through the lead backing on the mirrors. The closet ceiling must have been painted with a heavy lead paint. Sidney's lying down on his couch. Looks like he's going to take a little nap. Well, I'll just look over the grounds.
As Superman searches the grounds surrounding the house and the nearby woods, Sidney, reclining on a couch, his eyes closed, speaks in a low voice,
barely moving his lips, addressing his remarks to Henry Miller, the Atom Man, who was concealed in the glass-doored closet at the foot of the couch.
Don't open the door any wider, Miller.
It's stuffy in here.
Well, we can't take any chances. Superman may be above the house at this very moment.
What makes you think that?
Well, he's no fool. I hinted very strongly to Kent that I believe he's Superman, so he'll naturally be suspicious of me and look the place over thoroughly before he comes here tonight.
You shouldn't have made him suspicious.
I had to, or he wouldn't bother to show up. I purposely laid myself open to him so that when he comes here tonight, he won't possibly think that I'm in league with you or with any other of his enemies. I was even careful to leave some good fingerprints on his desk, which I'm sure that he'll investigate.
You left your fingerprints?
Naturally. Don't worry, don't. There's no record of them in Washington or anywhere else. When Mr. Kent and the police get through investigating me, they'll find I'm exactly what I said I was. A retired businessman with an apartment in town and a house in the country.
I hope you're
I'm
right.
always right, Miller. Can't afford to be wrong. I've gone over every detail. Superman or Kent will certainly come here tonight. And while you remain in that closet, he can't see you. There's a sheet of lead in the ceiling and heavy lead backing behind the mirrored walls.
You're positive he can't see through lead?
Positive. Now remember, when Kent arrives, I'll bring him in here. If he's Superman, he'll become dazed, as you say he did at the Daily Planet when you approached him.
Yes, he practically collapsed.
If that happens tonight, I'll call to you. You've got your converter and metal gloves?
Yes, right here in my pocket.
You'll have them on. We'll take him outside and you'll expose him to just enough atomic power to make him lose consciousness. Then we'll keep him in a coma until he finally starves to death.
Big clock in the city room of the Metropolis Daily Planet shows 20 minutes past 7 o'clock in the evening. Only a few reporters, hats tipped back on their heads, still sit at their typewriters. Jimmy Olsen, feet cocked on his desk, slumps back in his chair, snoring gently, as Clark Kent enters and walks swiftly to the boy reporter.
All right, wake up, Jim.
Where? Oh, Mr. Kent. Gosh, I was having the worst dream. Teufel had us tied up.
Never mind your dreams now. What about Sidney?
Sidney?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's okay, Mr. Kent.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know who you thought he was, but...
Did Inspector Henderson have his fingerprints checked?
Mm-hmm. A guy from headquarters was here right after you left. Henderson called just a little while ago and said to tell you there was no record of Sidney's fingerprints in the department or in Washington.
Mm-hmm. Did Henderson know anything about Sidney?
He said he never heard of him.
How about Candy Myers? Did he check on Sidney?
Mm-hmm. He said Mr. Sidney is a retired businessman, like he told you. He used to be a partner in a glass importing company. He retired 3 years ago, and Candy says made a pile of money.
The house he lives in must have cost a pretty penny. Go on, Jim. What else?
Well, he's a bachelor, and he's got an apartment in the Oglethorpe Apartments and a house in the country near Glenville. He calls it Green Meadows. The doorman and elevator boys at the Oglethorpe told Candy Sidney was a nice, quiet guy. Oh, yeah, he belongs to the Metropolis Athletic Club.
It's a good, respectable club. Anything else?
No, I don't think so. Oh, yeah, he's got a valet named Gito.
Yes, I saw him. So both Inspector Henderson and Candy Myers give Sidney a clean bill of health,
Yeah, he's white as a lily. Well, look, Mr. Kent, what's this all about? Why were you suspicious of him?
Well, what's the difference? I watched the place practically all afternoon, and I couldn't see anything to worry about either.
Hey, look, I almost starved waiting for you to have lunch. Let's go have dinner, and you can tell me about it.
No, can do, Jim. I've got an appointment.
Oh, shucks. Well, come on, we'll go downstairs together.
No, you go ahead. I got one or two things to do before I leave. I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, good night.
Good night, Jim. These clothes again. Looks like I spent a lot of time, did a lot of worrying for nothing. Sidney seems to be all right. If he does think I'm Superman, I might be able to talk him out of it. Or at least, since he's a decent citizen, persuade him to keep it under his hat. There we are, all set. Up with the window. And out to Green Meadows. Up and away!
Leaping into the air, Superman streaks through the dark night to Sidney's house in the wooded countryside, where, after searching above the house carefully again, he drops to earth and resumes the garb and guise of reporter Clark Kent. Then, ascending the 3 stone stairs to the heavy oak door, he rings the bell.
Well, good evening, Mr. Kent. I'm delighted to see you. Delighted. Come right in.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Sidney.
Mr. Gito will take your hat and your coat.
Oh, all right.
You've no idea how glad I am to see you.
Thank you, Gito.
Gets quite lonesome out here in the country alone. I was just sitting here listening to the radio. But now that you're here, we can have an interesting evening. With Superman.
With Superman?
Discussing him, of course.
Ah.
If you will just follow me, Mr. Kent,
Yes.
I have all my material in my study.
Fine. I'm very anxious to see it.
Unaware of the deadly, inescapable trap he is stepping into, Clark Kent follows Sidney down the hall to the study, where in the lead-lined closet which Superman's X-ray vision cannot penetrate, waits the deadly Atom Man, the electronic converter fastened to his throat, the strange metal gloves on his hands. What will happen? Can anything save Superman now?
The closet door is closed, and Sidney motions Kent to an armchair only a few feet away. Listen.
Sit down. Sit down, Mr. Kent. I think you'll find that chair quite comfortable.
Thank you.
May I offer you a cigar or a cigarette?
No, thanks. I don't smoke.
Perhaps you'll have a drink, a highball.
Well, thank you. No, I don't drink either. Don't get any trouble for me, please.
It's no trouble at all. No idea how delighted I am to have you here.
You are?
Oh, yes, indeed. You see, I lead a pretty lonely life since I retired from business. I have no family. I happen to have enough money for my needs, and so I've nothing to occupy my time, except my hobby.
I see. Yes, I believe you said your hobby was, Superman.
Yes, that's right. And you know how a man with a hobby is. He likes to talk to others with the same interest. I imagine you and I know more about Superman than anyone else in the world.
We do?
Of course we do. I, because I've given years of study and research to the subject, and you, for obvious reasons.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
Oh, come now, Ken. There's no need to be cagey with me. I told you that I discovered Superman's double identity, didn't I?
I remember you mentioning it this morning, yes.
But you don't believe it.
Oh, I didn't say that.
But you meant it.
Well, no.
I don't blame you. Hundreds of men richer than I, powerful men, good and bad, have tried to discover who Superman really is. I rather flatter myself that it was I who finally solved the mystery.
If you have solved it.
Of course I have, of course. Took me a long time, a lot of work, but I solved it.
All right, then. I'll ask you the $64 question. Who is Superman?
Why, you, of course.
I?
Naturally. Couldn't be anyone else. You don't deny it?
Oh, so I'm Superman, eh? Well, you're certainly very flattering.
I've investigated story after story in which both you and Superman were involved. Most of them written under your name, by the way.
Oh, well, that doesn't prove anything.
Oh, perhaps not, but I've noticed a situation in almost every story which is the same.
Oh?
Each time, just before Superman appeared, you disappeared. And each time after Superman disappeared, you reappeared.
Oh, haven't you ever heard of coincidence?
And a coincidence repeats itself time after time. It ceases to be a coincidence, Kent. and don't you think it's strange, to put it mildly, that while other members of your staff were seen with Superman many times, you, who had more contact with him than anyone else, were never seen with him?
Oh, you're sure about that I've never been seen with him?
Oh, positive. I've got a filing cabinet in the closet here, filled with stories that prove my point. Let me show you them.
No, don't bother.
Oh, no bother at all. It'll be a pleasure.
Well, it isn't necessary. Since I wrote the stories, I know what's in them. Sit down again, please. I want to tell you something.
Ready to confess?
No. Look, Sidney. Hasn't it occurred to you that you're playing a pretty dangerous game?
What do you mean?
If Superman has another identity...
He has.
He's taken great pains to keep it secret. He's very powerful. He might resent your prying into his personal life.
You can't frighten me, Kent. I've told you, I made a long and careful study of Superman. He's honest, fair-minded, always on the side of truth. He certainly wouldn't persecute me for telling the truth.
If it is the truth.
Oh, it is, and you know it. Admit it, Kent.
I'll admit nothing of the kind.
You are a stubborn chap, aren't you? But I've got something in the closet that'll prove that I know what I'm talking about beyond the shadow of a doubt.
No, wait, please.
Oh, I've really waited long enough.
Well,
now.
just a moment longer, please. Now, sit down again.
Well, what is it?
I'm
I'm going to confess this much to you. Superman has taken me into his confidence now and then, you might say.
Oh, really?
Yes, and so I happen to know that right at this moment he's in great danger.
Amazing. What sort of danger is he in?
Well, I can't tell you the details, but, a certain person, a person more powerful than he is...
A person more powerful than Superman? It's impossible.
I tell you it isn't. This person is looking for Superman to destroy him. And then destroy all civilization.
Fantastic.
Well, it may be, but it's true. Now, suppose you publish your report stating that I or anyone else is Superman.
Just you.
All right. You say in print that I am. Don't you see that you're literally condemning me to death?
Yeah, well, I hadn't thought of that.
Well, then think of it now. And promise me to forget all this.
Forget it?
Well, keep it to yourself, anyway.
You're asking a great deal, Kent.
Why?
But I'll make a bargain with you.
What's that?
Admit that you're Superman.
No.
Just to be in confidence. I deserve to know the truth after all the work I've done. In return, I'll promise not to reveal your secret. What do you say?
No.
I'll make you admit it. I got the proof right here.
You're just wasting your time.
I don't think so. Wait. Just a second, Kent.
Great Scott.
What's that noise?
It's my belt, my detector.
Your what?
My detector belt. There's kryptonite around here. Atomic energy. But where? I can't see it. I'm beginning to feel it, but I can't see it.
Staring about wildly, Clark Kent feels himself growing weak as the emanations of the kryptonite in the Atom Man's blood reach him through the slightly open closet door behind him. At once, the special radar-like belt Clark Kent wore sounded a high-pitched warning as it instantly detected the presence of kryptonite in the bloodstream of the Atom Man who was in the closet. Dazed and frightened, Kent stares wildly about.
There's kryptonite around here. But where? I can't see it.
Did you say kryptonite, Kent?
Yes. I can feel it. And my belt detects it. Where is it?
You must be mistaken. There's no kryptonite here.
There is, I tell you. Wait a minute. That closet. I can't see into it. You, Sidney. You tricked me. You must have. In there.
Where are you going?
Must get out of here.
You can't.
I must. Through that window. Up. There's strength going. I can't get up in the air. Up.
The great Superman's wings clipped. He can't fly. Come out of the closet, Miller.
Get out of here.
We were right. Clark Kent is Superman.
Of course he is, didn't I tell you?
Miller.
Yes, and this time you won't escape.
No. Keep away from me. I must get away.
He went through the window.
It's all right. He's on his hands and knees. He can't get away. Come on, through the window after him.
Well, how could I get through a window? I'll use the back door. You go out and hold him, Miller.
I'll hold him, all right.
No, Miller. Keep away.
You got away from me once, but not this time. When I turn the switch on the converter...
No.
There. Now, Superman, alias Clark Kent.
No.
You hear my atomic power?
No.
You feel the green lightning?
No.
This is the end of you.
No.
The end.
Triumphantly, his eyes shining like a maniac's, the Atom Man extends his strange metal gloves, laughing wildly as the jagged green sparks of lightning pitchfork into Clark Kent's body and strike him to the earth. Once before, Superman escaped death by a miracle at the fearful hands of the Atom Man. But this time, guided by the shrewd brain of Sidney, a fate has been prepared for him which he himself said was the only way in which he could ever be destroyed. As we continue now in the darkness, the Atom Man stands over Kent, arms extended. Jagged green sparks, like miniature lightning bolts, leap from his metal-gloved fingers to strike his crumpling foe. Listen.
Say your prayers, Kent. This is the end for you and Superman. No. You won't get away this time. I'll finish you now. Finish you for good. Sidney, watch this.
Stop it. No. Wasting your atomic power, you fool.
Let go of my arm. Get away from me.
Strike him at the base of the skull and he'll lose consciousness.
I'm going to kill him.
You couldn't kill him before if you'd forgotten, don't you, fool, Miller? The whole world is ours if only you listen. Strike him at the back of the neck.
Just make him lose consciousness, and then we can finish him as we planned.
For a moment, the Atom Man hesitates as the voice of reason slowly penetrates his murder-crazed mind. And Clark Kent, struggling vainly as the great strength ebbs from his battered body, hears another voice, his own, speaking to him.
Stop struggling. Pretend to lose consciousness before it's too late. That way you can find out what they're up to. It's your only chance.
Oh. He's unconscious. Turn that thing off. Now, why waste it? Miller, do as I say.
All right.
Now you're using your head. Come on, give me a hand with him. Oh, I'm too weak. I got too excited. Gito.
Yes, Master?
Come here. Imagine. Superman lying at my feet. I never would have believed it.
What are you going to do with him?
Carry him to the garage.
The garage? Oh, you mean you're going to put him in the car and take him someplace?
No.
Now, Sidney, wait a minute.
Now, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Gito?
Yes, Master?
Take our friend Mr. Kent under the shoulders. You take his legs, Miller.
Now, wait a minute.
Do as I say, Miller. And hurry.
You're crazy if you're going to keep him in the garage. Kent might have told someone he was coming here tonight. When they discover he's missing, the police will come here to look for him.
They won't find him. Now carry him to the garage.
Why won't they find him? Don't you think they'll search the garage?
Of course they will. But I still say they won't find him. Now save your breath and I'll show you what I mean in a moment.
Sometimes I can't figure you out.
Many wiser men than you have said the same thing. That's right, Gito.
That is correct, Master.
All right. Here we are. Now inside with him. Set him down. Now close the door, Gito, and turn on the light.
Yes, Master.
I still don't see what you're up to.
Patience, Miller. Remember, I advised you to cultivate more patience. It's a wonderful trait.
I can do without the lectures.
Master, shall I open it now?
If you please, Gito.
Open what?
You'll see.
What's that? The floor's open.
One of the concrete sections is set in a steel frame, which is on rollers.
Well, what's down there?
A comfortably furnished, air-conditioned room. Look down and you'll see it.
Say, that's not a bad hideaway.
That's a slight understatement. It's an excellent hideaway and a perfect place for our purpose. Now, if you and Gito will carry him down the steps.
Okay. Come on, Gito.
Yes, sir.
I'll put the light on down here. Careful on those steps, Miller. They're rather steep.
Yeah, this bridge is heavy.
He'll be a lot lighter in a month. I'll drop him on the floor near the bunk.
All right. Let him go, Gito.
I never thought I'd see the day when the great Superman was dragged about like a sack of potatoes. Look at him. Go on back to the house, Gito, and remove all traces of our visit. Just in case some of his newspaper friends or the police drop around. Straighten the study, rub all the furniture to remove his fingerprints, and the front doorknob, too.
Yes, Master.
And put a new pane of glass in the window.
Yes, Master.
If a car comes into the driveway, let me know at once.
Yes, Master.
You think of everything, don't you, Sidney?
Attention to details, no matter how trivial they seem, is the secret of my success. Now I'll close the panel above us and we'll be warm and comfortable. There we are. You won't mind if I turn the radio on, will you?
Do as you please.
Oh, I hate dance orchestras. That's better. Does my heart good to see Superman lying there, helpless. You'll find magazines and books on a shelf, Miller. Or if you prefer to go to bed, it's your bunk next to our friend.
You mean I'm going to sleep down here?
Of course you are. And eat and drink, too. Gito will bring us our meals. You'll find him an excellent cook.
What's the idea?
Well, you ought to be able to figure that out for yourself. Clark Kent, or Superman, is unconscious, but he isn't dead. Yet. Would be just too bad if he regained consciousness when you weren't here.
Yeah, but I don't want to be cooped up in this underground room. Gito can watch him, or you. And if he starts to recover, call me and I'll knock him out again.
We can't take chances like that. Oh, that's lovely music. Besides, I don't want you using up your atomic power knocking him out. The way I look at it, you're close to him at all times. The kryptonite in your veins may be enough to keep him unconscious. Shouldn't take any more than a month or two to finish him.
A month or two?
That's all. Strong man can live a month or more without food, but few of them can live that long without water. Of course, Superman's no ordinary man. It may take 2 months to starve him to death.
But Sidney...
Oh, stop fretting, Miller. What's a month or two of mild discomfort when we are playing for such high stakes? Once Superman is out of the way, nothing could stop us. We only have to threaten to destroy a large city, or any part of it, and they'll pay us anything we ask. Anything. The world is ours, Miller, now that we've found a way to finish Superman.
Prone on the floor, conscious but unable to move, Clark Kent, who is Superman, feels his blood run cold as he realizes at last the fate in store for him. Desperately, a voice, his own, speaks to him.
They've thought of the one way, the only way you can be destroyed. What will you do? What can you do?
Desperately, Kent's mind races, trying to figure some way out of his seemingly hopeless position. We'll return in a moment for the climax of today's episode. But first, your announcer.
You know, gang, if Superman or Orphan Annie or Skeezix could walk right out of the funny papers and into your living room, they couldn't seem any more real than they do on those swell new comic buttons you're all collecting from packages of Kellogg's Pep. Why, Superman is so doggone lifelike with his bright blue jersey and flying red cape. Seems as if any minute he's going to say, up, up, and away. Why, it's no end of fun to trade duplicates with your pals and try to be the first in your gang to collect all 18 different buttons. And the best part is, you don't have to send in a single penny for these slick-looking buttons, not even a box stop. You can't even buy them anywhere. They come only in packages of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. So how's about asking Mom to get you some Pep tomorrow? Then see which prize you find inside. One of these exciting new comic buttons, or a military insignia or warplane button. Remember, that's P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman.
3 hours have passed since Clark Kent was trapped by Sidney and the Atom Man, Henry Miller, and brought to the hideout under Sidney's garage. He lies helpless, his eyes closed, feigning unconsciousness at the foot of Henry Miller's bunk. Sidney seems content with his inactivity. He reads the newspapers, listens to the radio, eats almost constantly. But Miller, the Atom Man, becomes more and more restless and paces the floor nervously.
For heaven's sake, must you have that confounded radio on all the time, Sidney?
I like music. It's very, very soothing.
It doesn't soothe me. It's driving me crazy. This place is driving me crazy, cooped up here hour after hour. I can't stand it.
Control yourself, Miller.
If you tell me that once more, Sidney,
You will do nothing. Now sit down.
I'm sick of reading. Anyhow, I don't like to read. I'm a man of action. Now look, Kent hasn't stirred a finger for 3 hours since we brought him down here. Why can't I take a walk around the grounds?
You know why. I believe the kryptonite in your veins keeps him unconscious. He might come to if you leave.
All you have to do is to call out. I'll be nearby.
I told you we can't take that chance. He might get away in a couple of minutes that he took you to return.
It's ridiculous. You can see for yourself he's in a coma.
And that's the way we're going to keep him until he dies of starvation. Now behave yourself. Learn discipline. Look at me. I'm not fretting.
You're so lazy you don't want to move. But I've got to keep going. I've got to do things. I always did. And now since the kryptonite was injected into me, it's worse.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what makes me so nervous.
Control yourself.
There you go again. I can't stand it, I tell you.
You will stand it and like it.
No, Sidney!
I said you will. You're playing for the future of Germany. I for the only thing I love in the world, money. You're not going to spoil it for either of us. Now sit down. Sit down, I said.
Sullenly, the Atom Man bows to the stronger will of the sinister Sidney, snatches a newspaper, and sits down. And Clark Kent's last hope that the Atom Man will leave the underground hideout flickers and dies. Now what will happen? Don't miss tomorrow's exciting episode, fellows and girls, when something unexpected takes place. Tune in, same time, same station, for the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman, brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Publications.